So you want to start using all the cool, powerful stuff in AWS, right? Things like AWS WAF to build a firewall for your apps or Shield to fend off attacks. But before you get to any of that, you got to make sure your front door is locked. That's what we're talking about today, building that solid foundation.
It's a really good question, isn't it? When you've got all this incredible power at your fingertips, how do you make sure it's all secure, right from the get-go? You wouldn't build a castle on a foundation of sand, and it's the same idea here. And that's exactly what this is all about. Seriously, the very first things you do when you create your AWS account. They're the most critical steps for your security down the road. If you get these right, everything you build on top of it is just going to be that much safer. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through creating your account, then the super important part about securing the root user. After that, we'll make your first admin user for daily work, talk about how to add your teammates safely, and then just briefly touch on some tools for automation.
All right, first things first, let's actually create the account. This is where your whole AWS journey begins, and luckily, they make it pretty painless.
It's super straightforward. You just head over to the AWS sign-up portal and follow the steps on the screen. At one point, they'll send you a quick text or give you a call just to make sure you're a real person. Simple as that. Now, here's something that's really important to understand. When you finish signing up, AWS automatically creates something called a root user. This is the master account, and it leads us right into our next, and honestly, most critical section. Okay, listen up, because this is probably the most important thing you'll hear today. Securing your root user is, without a doubt, the single most critical security step you will ever take in your AWS account. If you forget everything else, remember this part. Think about it like this. The root user is the master key to your entire building. It can open every single door, go into every single room, and change anything at once. Because it's so powerful, you should basically never use it. Instead, you create an admin user. That's your everyday key. You use the master key once to make your day-to-day key, and then you lock that master key away in a vault. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from AWS's own security playbook. The message is crystal clear. Make an admin user for your daily grind and only touch that root user for a few very specific tasks that absolutely positively require it. So how do you lock this thing down? It's actually super simple, just 2 steps. The very first time you log in, do it as the root user. And the only thing you're going to do is turn on multi-factor authentication. That's it.
So, what is MFA anyway? If you're not familiar, multi-factor authentication is just an extra layer of security. It means that even if a bad guy steals your password, they still can't get in because they don't have that second piece of the puzzle, usually a code from an app on your phone. For your root user, this isn't optional, it's a must.
All right, so our root user is locked away, safe, and sound. Now what? Well, it's time to create the account you'll actually use every day. And when we do this, we're going to use something called the principle of least privilege. It's a fancy term for a simple idea. Only give people the exact permissions they need to do their job, and not a single bit more.
The best way to do this these days is with a service called IAM Identity Center. Just think of it as your main control panel for managing who can do what. All you have to do is turn it on, and from there, you can create a new user and give them admin rights.
And here's another cool thing that makes this more secure. This new admin user doesn't just go to the regular AWS login page. Nope. They get their own special, unique sign-in link sent to their email. It keeps the login for your day-to-day user completely separate from that all-powerful root user, which is exactly what we want.
Okay, so you're all set up. But what happens when you've got a team? You're definitely not going to start sharing your admin password. That's a huge no-no. There's a much smarter, way more secure way to bring other people on board.
The smart way to do this is with a 3-step combo. First, you create what's called a permission set. This is where you define exactly what someone with a certain job, like a developer, is allowed to do. Then, you put all your developers into a group. And finally, you just assign that permission set to the group. Boom! Now, instead of managing permissions for 10 different people, you just manage it for the one group. So much easier and so much safer. So far, we've only really talked about people clicking around in the console. But a huge part of what makes the cloud so powerful is automation. Letting scripts and applications talk to AWS directly.
And AWS has a whole toolbox for this stuff. If you're a developer writing code, you'll use an AWS SDK, and they've got them for pretty much any language you can imagine. If you're more on the operations side, automating tasks from the command line, the AWS CLI is going to be your new best friend. And for all you Windows admins out there, they've got special tools for PowerShell too.
Whew. Okay, let's recap.
If you're taking notes, this is the part to star. 1. Create your account. 2. Immediately, and I mean immediately, lock down that root user with MFA. 3. Use IAM Identity Center to create your own admin user for day-to-day stuff. And 4. For everyone else on your team, use groups and permission sets based on least privilege. If you nail these 4 things, your fortress is going to have a foundation made of solid rock.
And that's really it. The foundation is solid. Once you've got this fundamental security locked in, what you can build on top of it is, well, it's pretty much endless. So the question is, what are you going to build?